Welcome back to the GSMC Hockey Podcast presented by the GSMC Sports Network. I will be going right into our second segment of the night, talking about whether or not there is going to be momentum shift in the Stanley Cup Final due to that dominant Game 4 out of the Edmonton Oilers. But before we get into that, I would love to remind you guys that if you want to become bigger part of the show than you guys already are, support the show more than you guys already do, use the tips and donations link at the GSMCpodcast.net. It goes a long way to support the creators here at the GSMC Sports Network, and it does mean a lot. It does mean a lot to us getting any little bit of support that we do from you guys. So going right into our second segment of the night, talking about the momentum shift in the Stanley Cup Final here. Very impressive win by the Edmonton Oilers. 7-goal win by the Edmonton Oilers. 8-1. Like, what more can you say? What more superlatives can you use for this game? I talked about on Friday whether or not the Edmonton Oilers feasibly can come back from 3-0 down. I gave you guys the history of a 3-0 comeback in the NHL. I'll run it down a little bit more again, or a little bit more for you guys. 4 times in NHL history has teams come back from a 4-0 deficit. It happened in 2011 with the San Jose Sharks when they lost or in 2012 with the San Jose Sharks when they lost to the Los Angeles Kings. In 2011, it happened with the Chicago Blackhawks. Or 2010, it happened with the Chicago Blackhawks on the Vancouver Canucks. It happened again in the 90s, I believe, and then it happened in 1942. The 1942 one is the one that's the most memorable because it happened in a Stanley Cup Final between the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Detroit Red Wings, but albeit that happened in 1942. So as I always say, take that with a grain of salt when you're looking that far back in the past for these sports stats, because it's a lot to go on, but it is 1942, so doesn't really correlate to today's NHL game at all. But are the Edmonton Oilers able to join that list and become only the second team to do it in the Stanley Cup Finals and the 5th team to do it in the NHL, the 6th team to do it in the major 4 sports leagues in North America, as the only other. It's happened 4 times in the NHL. It's only happened 1 time in all of the other sports leagues. It happened to the Red Sox. It happened in a Red Sox-Yankees series in early 2000s. But for the Edmonton Oilers, what makes them different? 3 times this year, they lost 3 games in a row in the regular season. They were all followed by win streaks. The first one was an 8-game win streak. The second one was a 16-game win streak, which is one of the longest in NHL history. And the last one was a 5-game win streak. They are a streaky team, and they have always been a streaky team. If you want to correlate that, if you win 4 games in a row, you win a Stanley Cup Final here. They won 8 wins, 16, and 5 in a row, following 3 losses. Like I said, they're a streaky team, and they definitely can do it. They have the mental fortitude to bounce back from one of those, from a losing streak, right? For the Edmonton Oilers, there is something different about them. Of course, they just have, they have McDavid, they have JioSaavn, they have Evan Bouchard, they have all of these fantastic depth pieces that are great scorers like Zach Hyman, Evander Kane, Warren Foegele, Connor Brown, Corey Perry, Matthias Janmark, Matthias Ekholm. These guys are producing for the Edmonton Oilers. And you figured out finally how to beat Bobrovsky. Are we seeing a perfect storm here in Edmonton where you have all of these things are going your way, and it seems like you have, as I say, the momentum here in this series? You need to win 3 games straight now. You just need to win 3 here. One of them is going to be at home, and what goes for them is they now are riding on this huge high from that Game 4, going into Florida tomorrow for that Game 5, riding on this huge high. And if they're able to get that upset win in Florida tomorrow, which we will be talking more about in our 5th and final segment of tonight's podcast, whether or not I do believe that the Edmonton Oilers can win that game and what that looks like. If they're able to win that game, Now you're thinking, okay, Alberta game 6. And then in a game 7, anything can happen here. This could get really interesting very fast if the Florida Panthers were to lose this game 5. After the game of game 4, Connor McDavid was, I don't know the exact question that prompted this response, but he said, now we got to do a job in game 5 and drag them back to Alberta, which I think is absolutely hilarious. I think that is a perfect encapsulation of exactly what they truly do need to do. Is they just need to not have a repeat performance here of this game 4, but they do need to dominate in a game 5 here. They don't want to play in a close game against the Florida Panthers, because the Florida Panthers have shown time and time again that they win close games, and they definitely can win another close game and to finish out this series. You don't want this performance that they had in game 4 to be for naught. You don't want, I mean, you need to get this game 5. How soul crushing would it be to win by 7 goals in a game 4? Feel like everything's going your way. Feel like the world is moving in your favor, and then to go into Sunrise, Florida, and watch them lift the cup. Watch Aaron Ekblad and Alexander Barkov just take that cup off the stands and lift it high. In Game 5, that would be absolutely soul-crushing for McDavid and for JioSaavn and for this Edmonton Oilers team. That really, this entire season, they've been all over the place. In late November, they were 9-18-4 or 9-18-2, maybe 9-18-2. They were not even close to a playoff spot. They were like a bottom 5 team in the NHL at that point. In mid-November or late November. They fired their coach. They go on a 16-game win streak. They completely turn the season around, and then you get to the playoffs, and you're riding this high from that regular season comeback, and you dismantle the LA Kings. You fight hard to beat the Canucks in 7. You beat the Stars in 6 in a pretty dominant Western Conference Final performance, and now you're in the Stanley Cup Final, and now you have the Florida Panthers. You go down 3-0. You claw back in that game 4. Just to lose in a Game 5, I mean, that would be absolutely soul-crushing for this Edmonton Oilers team that has really gone through a lot in this season. We'll see how it plays out on the ice. Florida Panthers are favored in this game. However, truly, momentum is a huge thing in sports. You really can feel it in a lot of different areas in sports, and I think that the Edmonton Oilers really feel that way and really have that, moxie about them when they're going into this Game 5 here in Sunrise, Florida. I can't wait for tomorrow and can't wait to watch that game because it's going to be telling for the rest of this series here. What went wrong for the Panthers in this game? They were due for a kind of defensive breakdown. They play a very physical and high pace style, and if the Oilers kind of are on their game, the Oilers are favored in that. I truly believe that. When in this game, I think Paul Maurice, the Florida Panthers head coach, got interviewed during the game, and he was asked, "Are you guys going to switch up anything defensively here?" And he just said, "No, this is our game here. This is how we play. This is the style of hockey that we have created ourselves playing." So we'll see if he does switch up from that kind of high-intensity defensive style where you could be prone to breakouts and prone to mistakes, and if things start snowballing for you, they go downhill real fast. We'll see how, the adjustments that Paul Maurice will make. They're up 3-1 in this series. They're not the ones that needed to be frantically changing their lines. They weren't the ones that needed to be frantically, giving out speeches in the locker room after the game or whatnot. They're still feeling very confident in this series. They still need to win one of the next 3, which for a Florida Panthers team that has been here before, of course losing to the Vegas Golden Knights last year. They've been here before. They know what it takes to win, although they were out on the other end of it last season. We'll see how they perform when they're, when they finally have to answer some questions that are being asked of them. I think that they haven't had an easy, but they've had a very, sound playoff run to this point. Handling the Lightning in 5, handling the Bruins in 6, handling the Rangers in 6. They were they have really seemed like the better team in every series. And in this series, of course, going up 3-0, they seemed like the better team. But after that game 4, you got to start asking some questions of the Florida Panthers. And we'll see what how they come out in this game. In this game 5, really how they're going to react when it comes down to a game 5 where they just got dismantled in a game 4. So we'll see. The game will be played tomorrow. I can't wait for that game. We'll talk more of it on the 5th and final segment of tonight. But I will take my third break of the night, and when I come back, we will be talking about the top potential free agents for this summer, and where they might end up.